Good evening. It's late night. It's been a busy day. So we are finally live. Friday night, Prediction Friday. We got to talk about the game on Sunday. What's up, everybody? How's it going? Tej Beats, Steven Reynolds, Miguel. What's up? Terrence Davis in the house. Jimmy Perez, Rashad. What's up, Miguel, man? Did I get a chance to see the link that you sent me? No, I've been working, got my daughter, had dinner. I literally just sat down like 10 minutes ago. So haven't had a chance. I will check it out. But we're going to talk about everything we need to talk about tonight. 49ers, Cardinals, they got a game coming up. And I know we've been talking about it all week that we cannot sleep on the Cardinals. We got some injuries. The 49ers have a few injuries to deal with. There's some good, some bad. We'll talk about those updates and we'll get your thoughts on, the game coming up. I think the Niners have a chance to win this game and go 4-0. And I think that would be a phenomenal start. Be the best start since 2019. But we have to focus up. We can't take this game lightly. We cannot take the Cardinals lightly. Even Deebo Samuel, he said today, there was with the media, he told them, he goes, looking at the film, he goes, the Cardinals are a team that could be 3-0. They're a dangerous team, and you can't overlook them. So this team knows that they have to focus, and they cannot overlook the Cardinals. Fred Warner said it a couple of days ago. They are not overlooking the Cardinals. They're not going to fall into the trap. It's not a trap game for them because they know how important this game is for this team. And remember, we've been talking about they have to get the number one seed. They do. They have to get the number one seed, and it starts with winning these games. These are winnable games, and the 49ers, if they start 4-0, that is a phenomenal start. And next week, they got the Cowboys. So it's very easy for them to look ahead against a huge showdown against the Dallas Cowboys. But the 49ers have to keep their mind right. And again, there's going to be some players that probably won't play. Before we get to that, my man Rashad says, rip Tupac. They found Tupac's killer today. Let's go 49ers. Yeah, I saw that news, man. Like 27 years after the fact. I know some people think Tupac's still alive out in Jamaica. We're not here for conspiracy theories. 27 years later. That's crazy. I lived in Vegas at the time of his death. He was going to the big club 702. Like that place was a poppin' place. Back in the day, it was off the strip. It was off Flamingo. It was close to where my complex was, where I lived back in the day. I remember that. That place was always buzzing. The night it happened, me and my dad, it was New Year's Eve. We went out, we were out and about. I was what year is that? 96. I was like 12 years old. And I remember we were out and about, and then we were coming home. We were going to come home and celebrate the New Year's and stuff. And it was a mob scene out in front. We were like, whoa, what's going on? And we found out, I guess, Tupac's coming. And then a couple hours later, we were like, whoa, it's crazy. And there was like cops everywhere. And we lived, like I said, we lived very close to that club where it happened. So it was like cops all over the place. It was a wild night. Rest in peace, Tupac, man. What a wild night that is. Christine says it sucks that Deebo's injured. Yeah, let's talk about that. So the big injury news for the week was Deebo Samuel, dealing with the knee injury. We knew he had a rib injury. They were just sore. Kyle Shanahan said, he had a rib injury. This was last Thursday, and he should be fine. This week, he turned out to have a knee injury, and today he told the reporters, like, the knee injury was the worst part of the whole week. Like, he actually had more issues with the knee than the rib. He says it happened sometime in the second quarter. He banged his knee. He didn't think anything of it during the game. He was fine. And then the next day, it swelled up, and it was, like, super inflamed, and that's not good. So Deebo's tough. He's physical. He's a very hard-nosed player, and I think at some point during that game, he banged his knee up, and he played right through it. So imagine you're playing your butt off, and all the wear and tear and the hits. The next day, you're going to wake up, and you're going to be like, oh, wow. Sometimes you don't have an injury right after the game. And unfortunately for Deebo, that's what happened. It was after the game, he came out with a knee injury, and he's been dealing with that all week. He hasn't practiced, and now he's questionable. Deebo's tough, so I think he could play, but I honestly think the safe move is don't play him because Brandon Ayuk, now the other guy that we need to talk about is Brandon Ayuk. He has a shoulder injury. It kept him out of Thursday night football, and, he probably could have played if it was a playoff situation, but, it's early in the season. It was a short turnaround from the Sunday game to Thursday. But this week he's practiced, and today Kyle Shanahan cleared him. He says he's good to go. So Brandon Ayuk, I think he's going to have a legacy game this weekend. He's going to have a master class. This is Brandon Ayuk's time to shine. I think Brandon Ayuk will have a huge game. He might win Offensive Player of the Week. Like, that's how good of a performance I think Brandon Ayuk is going to have this Sunday. Because, last week, Debo carried the wide receiver corps when Brandon Ayuk was down. I think Brandon Ayuk's going to come right back and remind us, hey, I'm in a contract season. I'm ready to get paid this year. So I think Brandon Ayuk's going to have a masterclass type game. He might win NFC Offensive Player of the Week. That's my prediction. I think CMC is going to have another phenomenal game because the 49ers run the ball a lot. And, I think he'll still pace the offense without Debo in there if he doesn't play. But I really have a strong feeling it's going to be a Brandon Ayuk type game. Now, the other receiver that has been missing practice this week, this is huge. It's Juwan Jennings. Juwan Jennings has a shin injury, and he has not practiced at all this week himself. He's doubtful. To me, doubtful, that basically means you ain't playing the game. That's the only other, designation is out. Doubtful, I mean, that's definitely not a sign that he's going to play. So Juwan Jennings has a shin injury, and he's doubtful. So he's not going to play. Now, that brings us to who's going to step up in the presence of Juwan Jennings. Obviously, Brandon Ayuk. If Debo doesn't play, who's going to step that up? That is Ronnie Bell. Last week, Ronnie Bell had a phenomenal performance. He had the touchdown, his first career touchdown. He had the pass off the tip. He had some big-time blocks in the game, special teams moves. So I think Ronnie Bell will answer the call as he has so far. Young kid on the rise, young man on the rise. Great young draft pick, 7th-round pick. Juwan Jennings was a 7th-round pick. And, I think Ronnie Bell is the future. He's going to take over this, Juwan Jennings spot in the future. He's getting a little head start in his career. So I definitely think Ronnie Bell is going to be able to step up and do his thing. So you got to love it. You got to love it. I think Ronnie Bell will fill out very well for Juwan Jennings. We're not going to miss a beat in that spot. I mean, Juwan Jennings is an enforcer. He's tough. He's physical. We know he does the blocks. But Ronnie Bell has been doing that. He's been blocking. He's been tough. He's been physical. You got to love this young man's game. And I think this is going to do him well. He's a guy that's gotten a lot of opportunities from Kyle Shanahan because he's been putting in the work. And with Kyle Shanahan, when you put in the work, he respects you. He's going to give you opportunities. And the more you make good out of those opportunities, Kyle's going to keep on giving you opportunities to shine. So you got to love it. Blood Moon says Ray has put in the time he needs his reps. Yeah, I think Ray will get his just dues. But you got to also remember Ray plays return man, and that takes a lot out of you. You don't always see return man getting a lot of work in teams because they have to be ready to go for the returns, punts, kicks, whatever the case is. And it takes a lot of energy. You're running through tackles. You have to keep your head on a swivel. So fielding punts and kicks and being a receiver takes a lot of energy. But definitely Ray's a guy that could step in and pay dividends. He's been a solid receiver for this team. I remember last year he had a big touchdown against the Washington Commanders. So definitely a guy that you got to keep your eye on. Kyle Shanahan, he's going to mix it up. He's going to get these guys involved. Ronnie Bell, like we said, Brandon Ayuk. And then George Kittle. People forget about George Kittle. The 49ers have George Kittle on their team, ladies and gentlemen. Last week he had 7 catches for 90 yards. It's a pretty solid performance. It was a quiet 90 yards. I think George Kittle could have another big performance. He's done really well against the Cardinals in his career. Like, there has been so many big games that George Kittle has had, multiple touchdown games, big time viral moments. The Buddha Baker, remember, I'm still here, Buddha, where he just sauced him up, throws the stiff arm, throws him on the ground after the play. I'm still here, Buddha. Last year he had touchdowns against the Cardinals. This guy could have a big game himself. George Kittle, man, the 49ers offense, I know they might not have Debo and Juwan Jennings, but I still think this team is going to put up a lot of points. Another guy, though, we have to talk about is Elijah Mitchell. He came up on the injury report today, and this was a little surprising because he was healthy all week. He didn't have an injury coming into today. He was practicing all week, but he has a knee injury. That's unfortunate. Elijah Mitchell's a guy that always seems to get banged up. And again, according to Matt Barrows, so at the end of Thursday's practice yesterday, Shanahan said that Mitchell got tripped up and dinged his knee. That sucks, man. Elijah Mitchell. I love Elijah Mitchell because he's so damn good. But what I always say, I'm like, if this guy could stay healthy, he'd be a dog. But that's the problem. Elijah Mitchell just can never figure out how to stay healthy. He dinged his knee up in practice. So with that being said, we got Christian McCaffrey, the reigning offensive player of the month, and you got Jordan Mason making his season debut, and Tyra Davis Price. So if Elijah Mitchell can't play, look for Jordan Mason and TDP to get some action alongside Christian McCaffrey. It sucks for Elijah Mitchell, but they got some good running backs. The 49ers do have good depth. Jordan Mason and TDP, solid players, but expect a little bit more out of Christian McCaffrey. The guy's been carrying this team. I think he can continue to do it. But it does suck for Elijah Mitchell getting hurt. That's a guy you want in there. The 49ers were using him last week, and they used him very well. He's very effective, and that can take pressure off of Christian McCaffrey. We don't want to see Christian McCaffrey get hurt, but now you have to use Mason and TDP to take pressure off of Christian McCaffrey. So unfortunate for Elijah Mitchell, man. Stephen Reynolds says, let Jordan Mason play if Mitchell can't play. I agree. I think Jordan Mason deserves his chance, deserves his opportunities. The only thing about Jordan Mason is he has to hold on to the football. He's a guy that has had some fumbleitis in the preseason. Kyle doesn't like that. Kyle wants you to protect the football, but he's a very solid player, very good runner. He has a lot of potential. So let's see Jordan Mason get some action, but he got to hold on to that football. Stephen Reynolds, wait. So Shades by Shardo. What's up, Shardo? He says Hollywood Brown hurt his thumb in practice today. He did for the Cardinals. He's going to be questionable for Arizona. He's their big playmaker. They got some other guys, Rondell Moore and James Conner, but the man, Hollywood Brown, he is their dynamic, spread the ball downfield type weapon. He's their downfield weapon. Hollywood Brown is a very dynamic receiver. So hopefully he's healthy. I don't want to see them have injuries, on their side of the ball. We want an even matchup. But Hollywood Brown is very good for them. A little thumb jam today, but I think he'll play. Again, he's questionable coming into Sunday's game with the Arizona Cardinals. He's a good player for the Cardinals, man. They're top dog at wide receiver. So Miguel says, it's crazy that the 49ers low-key made history by having Brock Purdy named top 5 elite quarterbacks in all the National Football League. It's crazy. Brock's starting to get some hype. You got to love it. He's got to continue. The one thing is, because we've been very positive of Brock Purdy. I think Brock Purdy's been very good this season. The stats speak for themselves. All the games he's won, he hasn't really lost the game. Really, honestly, he's undefeated quarterback. He's always top in QBR around among the top. All the touchdowns, no interceptions. He has become a very, very good quarterback, trending in the right direction. He could be one of the top quarterbacks if he continues, and he's mastering Shanahan's system, setting him up for success. All these weapons, he's distributing the ball to Debo, Ayuk, and all these guys, and he's reaping the benefits of this team that he's controlling. But now, if he continues to rise, and the media is going to start loving him and start painting him in this big picture of he's this next big elite quarterback, he can't let it get to his head. And now we have to see how Purdy responds to all this hype and energy, because it's a different story. When you're negative, when it's negative energy, when it's negative pressure, and people are doubting you, you got a chip on your shoulder, right? And you're like, okay, I'm going to prove all these idiots wrong. Now people are expecting him to go out there and be great. You need to go throw 300 yards again. You need to throw 3 touchdowns this weekend. Now people are going to expect him to be good. The better he gets, the more he wins. And that's a different pressure. So starting quarterback in the NFL is a tough position. So. Blood says, my daughter Q says, hi, Raj, go George Kittle. What's up to your daughter? Go George Kittle. I think he's going to have a great game this weekend. I really do. I think if Debo Samuel's out, 49ers are going to really have to rely on guys like Brandon Ayuk, Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, really get the ball to them. But I think the biggest factor of this team is having Brandon Ayuk back. We'll see the difference of this offense. No disrespect to Debo. He's a different type of player. And, he's one of the pace cars of this team. He's one of the tone setters, as you will, of the 49ers. But Brandon Ayuk, his route running, his ability to have two defenders on him is second to none. So I think having Brandon Ayuk, and that's the guy that I feel Brock Purdy really has strong chemistry with, it's going to open it up. Again, in the red zone, people are going to be looking at Brandon Ayuk. And George Kittle will be wide open. So it's going to be interesting to see. Ted, yes, I wanted to get to this. The Cardinals have Quantrez Knight Hopefully he doesn't spill the beans. Oh, he's going to be yapping and yipping about the 49ers. I'm sure they've got some intel from Q Night. I wish the 49ers never would have got rid of this guy. I really liked him. He was a solid safety, young up-and-coming kid from UCLA, undrafted guy, a guy that I really thought they should have promoted to the top of to the active roster. They didn't. He got snagged up by the Cardinals, and this is a revenge game for Q Knight. This is a revenge game for Q Knight. 49ers had a revenge game from Akella Witherspoon. We saw how that went. Christian McCaffrey threw that man down, but now we got a Q Knight revenge game. I like Q. Let's see what he brings to the table against the Cardinals, with 49ers against Cardinals. So I liked him. I think he's definitely one of those guys that's going to spill some beans, and he's going to be in the ear of these players through practice all week. And I'm sure he did. I'm sure he's told them what he knows about the 49ers, and that's what these guys do. When you're on a team that you played on before, you're always going to want to play good. You're going to want to prove them wrong. You're going to want to show that I should have been on your team. I should have been on your active roster. You should have promoted me. It's a revenge game for Q Knight. That's the guy you got to keep your eye on. So, Steven says, I believe Christian McCaffrey will get a rush touchdown. Kittle will finally get a touchdown, and Ayuk will get 1 or 2 touchdowns by Purdy. Yeah, I feel like Kittle will finally get off the schneid. I think he's good for a touchdown this week. He should have got one last week. 90 yards. Should have gave him that touchdown. Again, red zone, everything was kind of tightened up. Windows closed up. But I think with Brandon Ayuk, I think George Kittle gets a tutty in the red zone. I think Ayuk has 2 touchdowns. I think he's going to have a masterclass game. I really do. And I think CMC has a rushing touchdown as well. So what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4 touchdowns right there. That's amazing. That's probably 28 points right there. Give a couple field goals. I'm going to tell you my score in a few minutes. I want to know what your score is for this game. I see some people have already dropped their prediction. Let me go up and scroll up and see what you guys have. Let's see what we have. We have people score. Rashad says 37-16. S Flood, my man, Flood, what's good? He says 35-17. Oh, he says, my boy Raj, appreciate your consistency. I appreciate you, man. We always got to grind. Even if it's late, we got to come on the YouTube and keep pushing content out. Busy day, but we got to do our show. 510 Bay Area. Do I do parlays? I used to do parlays. I used to live in Vegas. I used to live in the sports book, man. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I used to go sports book all the time, drop parlays. I bet a little bit now, but not as much as I used to, because I like to keep my money. I don't like to lose my money. But there's so many online betting things, Underdog, Fantasy, all that stuff, FanDuel, blah blah blah. So it's easier to bet now. But back in the day, college days, man, in my 20s, I used to hit up the sports book all the time. College parlays, NFL parlays. Just got to hit lightning in a bottle, man. I used to be parlay king. Sometimes I'd hit, sometimes you'd lose. But the key was you set aside a specific amount. This is your money that you have designated for betting. If you run through it, you run through it. If you keep building, you keep playing off that stack. So that's what I used to do, and I used to win some good money, actually. So it was nice. It was fun. But now with all these responsibilities and having a kid and this and that and just so expensive out here, I don't always bet, like I used to. Let's see. Get back to these scores. Okay, here we go. Tej Beat says 37-17. Terrence Davis says 73-0. That would be crazy. That would be even better than what the Dolphins did last week. 73-0. That's crazy. Christine says 30-17 Niners. I think that's a pretty good score. I think 30 points is kind of where this team, is their magic number. They've been scoring 30 points all week, but I feel the 49ers are going to score more than 30 this week. I really do. I feel like the offense, I know they don't have Debo, but I feel like Purdy's going to come out, just really pace them, and I think the 49ers are going to drop more than 30 points. I think the 49ers are going to score about 35-38. I think final score, if I have to pick, I'm going to say 38 points. The 49ers are going to drop 38 on the Cardinals. I know that's a lot, and I know the Cardinals are tough, and I know we are sitting here saying, they just played the Cowboys, but I just feel like the 49ers are coming out, and they got this vibe about them, home field again. They're a dominating team. I think they're going to drop 38 points. Now, I do think the Cardinals will keep it close initially, give them a little fit, but then after a while, I think after halftime, the 49ers are just going to break the levee loose, turnovers, and they're just going to make the adjustments. The 49ers have been so good at making adjustments this year. it's been impressive. Like, that's the thing. We get to halftime and people are crying and complaining. Oh, the 49ers, they should be up more. And they just break the walls down in the second half. And their adjustments have been amazing. Turnovers, defense has been stalling other drives. They clean up things and their offense just starts moving the ball. So I think it's going to be a 38 point effort by the 49ers. And I think the Cardinals are going to have 17. I think it's going to be 38-17. 49ers are allowing only 14 points on defense. I think, again, Cardinals, they're tough. They're coming in with the chip on their shoulder. I think they'll come out with some energy, maybe score a couple of touchdowns, get a field goal. And I think they'll make it 17. It'll be like 17-21 going into halftime. It'll be close. But I think the 49ers just break open the levee second half. It's going to be 38-17 49ers. That's my score. That's my prediction. I've been thinking about it all week. And I know Brandon Ayuk is going to come in and just change it up. He's itching to play. He said last week he's itching to play. I know they might not have Debo. I know they might not have Juwan Jennings and Elijah Mitchell. But just something tells me that the 49ers are due for a huge offensive explosion. I think Kittle will have a good game. Christian McCaffrey, man, this guy's just offensive player of the year already. He's just killing it. He had the offensive player of the month in September. I think he's just going to get better, man. And I think people forget how good Christian McCaffrey is sometimes. Like, people forget just how good he is. I don't know. Julius Callaway says, Kinlaw gets a sack this weekend. I that would be awesome. But he's been getting close. He's been getting a lot of pressures. He's one of the top defensive linemen, interior defensive linemen in pressure. Shout out to Kinlaw. He's healthy, and I think he doesn't have the pressure of trying to just make it on the field. Now he's healthy. He's getting to play and, just develop. And I think Kinlaw could get a sack this weekend. My man George says, how am I doing? I'm doing good tonight. Hello, Frankie says, am I going to the game? No, I can't make it to the game this Sunday. I'll be watching from home. These are my last 2 nights at this place I live in. So we got to finish packing, finish cleaning. We're pretty much done, but tomorrow after work, I got to clean up and get everything finalized. Sunday, I just kind of want to chill, watch the game, and if there's anything left to clean up, I'll clean up. And then Monday, we moving. Victory Monday moving. So I won't be able to make it to the game just because I got too much things going on this week. I always got too many things going on. But I'll be at the Dallas Cowboy game, so that'll be fun. Christine says Hufanga gets a pick 6. He very well might be. Hufanga's crazy this year. Let's talk about Talanoa Hufanga. Y'all saw the stats. This guy, Talanoa Hufanga, I mean, he's going to be an all-pro again this season if he keeps it up. Look, among all safeties in the NFL, okay, Talanoa Hufanga has the lowest passer rating allowed among all safeties in the NFL, and it's a staggering margin. His passer rating against is 8.3. That's number 1. The next closest is Grant Delpit at number 2. He has 28.5 passer rating allowed. That is crazy. And that's one thing that Hufanga really worked on this year, is his coverage, his ability to make sure that no big play gets thrown on him. Last year, a lot of people said, he lets up too many big plays. He's a liability in coverage. He's a big hitter. He has good instincts. This year, he's just so much different than he was in the past, man. He is just better and better, and he's in his 3rd year. He's only getting better. His first year, not bad. He was an enforcer. Dropped the hammer a couple times. Good special teamer. Last year, he was all pro. I mean, he was a thumper. He was hitting you he would, play great in the box. I mean, he had some interceptions, but they were, probably helped out by other players being at the right place at the right time and all the pressure up front. But this year, man, his coverage has been stupendous, and it's only getting better. So shout out to Talanoa Hufanga. This guy is really figuring out his vision on the field is like a quarterback. Like, he's reading the quarterbacks. Quarterbacks read the defense, but Talanoa Hufanga is now reading the offense, and it's amazing to watch. And he's getting faster on the field. He's making breaks easier. Like, he understands the game. It's slowing down, just like any other position. When the game slows down for you, it's just natural. And that's what Hufanga is doing. And, man, his coverage has been absolutely amazing. Am I moving farther from Levi's? I mean, not too far. It's still going to be within 10, 15 minutes. I'm still close to Levi's. Just moving closer to where my daughter's school is. It's just easier. It's going to be easier commute in the morning, and it's going to be a little bit nicer on my wallet. I'm going to be saving like $600 in rent a month. So I think that's not bad. I ain't complaining. So Christine says, Hufanga, one of a kind. He really is so good. I mean, how the hell do the 49ers continue to find these gems? He's a fifth rounder. How did people pass up on this? I remember watching him in college at USC, and I was like, this guy's a dog. He was a beast. But his combine was slow and blah, 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 blah. But I swear, I remember watching him and going, this guy's going to be a great NFL player just because he knew where the ball would be. Instincts were off the charts. And he's just a dog. That's all the best word I could say. Like in college, and now we're seeing it. Fifth round, the fact that Hufanga got slipped to the fifth round, I think he won like defensive back of the year in college. Like he was the nation's best defensive back in college. And they let him slip to the fifth round. Like that's crazy to me. Like he was one of the best players in the whole entire college football season at his position. And it's not like he was just a lucky pick by the 49ers. He was good. He won the award for best secondary player in the whole nation, man. Shame on teams for passing on this guy. So let's do some rapid predictions tonight for the game. Nick Bosa, I think he gets 2 sacks. I think Hufanga, the man we just talked about for 5 minutes, will get an interception. I have a good feeling he's going to get another one. He'll have 3 interceptions after this game. 3 interceptions, 4 games. That's crazy. I got Nick Bosa getting 2 sacks. I think Hargrave will get a sack. I think Armstead will get a sack. What's that, 4? Throw Kinlaw or Drake Jackson will get another sack. I don't know who it's going to be, Drake or Kinlaw. I think somebody's going to get a sack. They'll get 5. Joshua Dobbs, young quarterback, I think he's going to meet his match. I think, initially he'll try to use his legs, the mobility. 49ers are going to stuff him up. James Conner, that's the guy that the 49ers have to be able to stop. He gashed the Cowboys. The Cardinals scored 200. They had 222 rushing yards against Dallas. I don't think that's going to happen against the 49ers. I think the 49ers are going to stymie their rushing attack. Nick Bosa is going to be all over them. I think last week was a great game for Nick Bosa getting the sack, out of the way. He got get the monkey off the back. And I feel like now we're really going to see Nick Bosa. He's going to go crazy. He's going to have 2 sacks. And I think this defense is going to feast in the second half when they make their adjustments. Again, I got Hufanga making a pick. Who else gets a pick? I think Mooney Ward gets a pick. Mooney Ward will get a pick. Talanoa Hufanga. That's 2 picks, 5 sacks. 49ers allow 17 points. It's going to be a barn burner. They're going to dog walk him in the second half. First half, again, is going to be close. It's a division game. You can't take them lightly. I really think the 49ers are going to pull away with this one and just dominate. 38-17. I love it. Let's see. We got some more. Boogie says, just trade away all of our first-round picks and give us 3rd, 5th, and 7th rounders. Honestly, I'm all for it, man. I mean, that's what they did these last couple of years. It's literally what they did. They traded away all their first-round picks for Trey. They had no first rounders for a couple of years. And I mean, look who they've drafted over these last couple of years. Talanoa Hufanga, Diamond Lenore. They've got some dogs back there, man. And they're all late round picks. Most of these guys that are coming up on this team have been really good. have been the late round picks, man. Oh, man. Steven Reynolds says, would you think it would be crazy if the Niners gave up 2 first rounds for Patrick Surtain? Wouldn't be crazy. I mean, he's worth it. I think they could, but I just don't know because I do want them to get some linemen. I do feel like the 49ers need to get a left tackle for the future. We don't know how many more years Trent Williams has, and it's not like it's easy to go get someone off the market. There's not a lot of great tackles that just are available. Like tackles don't grow on trees, right? It's just one of those premium positions that you have to draft, and you want to get a tackle that's really good that you could keep on your team for a couple of years because you might pay him a lot of money if you go in free agency. And the 49ers have some players to pay. Brandon Ayuk, obviously, is one of them. Talanoa Hufanga, who we just talked about. Like, those 2 guys need to get paid eventually. So, it's tough, man. I love Patrick Surtain, and I think he'd be phenomenal to have on this 49ers team. But at some point, you got to address the tackle position, man. You can't just keep having it be the elephant in the room. You have to address that tackle position. Like, at some point, you just do. You just do, man. George Jindo says 2 tutties for Kittle, 35-13 49ers. I like that score. 35-13, that's a nice score. I can see that. Like that's kind of close to where I'm at. 38-17, 35-13 sounds about right. I like that. 2 touchdowns for Kittle. I want to see it. I want to see Kittle get 2 touchdowns. Although I'm thinking it's going to be 2 touchdowns to Brandon Ayuk, another 2 tutty game for BA. I just feel like it's a masterclass game for Ayuk. I just have a feeling that we're going to be talking here on Sunday night and Victory Monday, and we're going to be talking about how great Brandon Ayuk is. I just have this feeling, guys, ladies and gentlemen, I have this feeling. Just remember I said this, Brandon Ayuk's going to have a masterclass. That's the game. That's my feeling. I think Ronnie Bell might step up and make some big plays. I want to see him have a touchdown, but I don't know. I think, again, I got Kittle having a tutty, CMC. You got Brandon Ayuk maybe getting 2. You never know. Somebody else might surprise us and get a touchdown. Ronnie Bell had a touchdown last week. I'm sure they'll draw it up again if he has an opportunity. So, McGlinchey reunion, absolutely not. Ethan says it's very annoying how people don't give Brock credit because he gets carried and has all the supporting cast. Like every top quarterback doesn't have a good wide receiver core and a good defense. I mean, unless you're the Patriots or not the Patriots, unless you're the Chiefs. If you don't have Travis Kelce, your wide receiver core is bad. Like we saw that first game against the Lions. Whew, those guys couldn't catch if they had Stickum on their hands. Like it was bad. They were Kadarius Toney. That man became a meme that night. But for the most part, good teams have good players around their quarterback. You surround your good quarterback with good talent. So I don't know. People just say most outlandish thing because I think they're used to seeing Jimmy get carried because there was a game in the playoffs against the Vikings. He threw like 8 attempts. He didn't do nothing. 8 attempts. So, I mean, I see where people are coming from that aspect. But, man, Brock Purdy is different. He doesn't have happy feet. He moves the ball well. He's poised in the pocket. He makes good decisions. He can read the defense. I like Brock, man. He can throw it deep if he needs to. He saw it on Sunday. He dropped that dime to Debo. That was a impressive pass. Back shoulder pass. Come on, man. Brock Purdy's already proved himself. Guys, he's only going to get better. He's 23 years old, ladies and gentlemen. But you're right. The media likes to rip him for the most part. Kyle trusts him. The 49ers haven't had a quarterback like this duo, this trust between quarterback and head coach in a long time. It's refreshing, and I think he's going to continue to do well and silence people. But there has been more people lately, though, hyping him up. I've seen the shift. The shift is turning. The tide is changing, and you'll see. The more the 49ers win, the better Brock Purdy does. They're going to have to hype him up because also when Brock's doing good and he's doing well, people are going to get views, they're going to get clicks, they're going to get engagement. They're clout farming out there. So eventually, when he does good, it's going to be the hip thing to do is, we got to post positive stuff about Brock Purdy. Let's talk about how great he is because it's going to be good for them. But negativity also sells, especially if it's against the 49ers because people love to get views off the 49ers. But you're right. The media has been so up and down on Purdy, but I can see the tide shifting towards them being like pro Purdy lately. So, Jason, I love this. He says, who cares what people say? Brock just needs to keep playing for himself and his team. Absolutely, man. Let him do his thing. Who cares what people say? At the end of the day, it really doesn't matter what the media says because the 49ers are going to prove them wrong regardless. So, absolutely agree with that, Jason. Like, at the end, people are going to say what they got to say. The media, they say what they got to say for clicks. You know, we got Stephen A. Smiths of the world and Colin Cowherd. They switch up so much. Like, they change their takes like we change our shirts every day. You know, it's crazy how much the media just switches up on a daily basis and sometimes hourly basis. That's how the media works these days. So Christine says, I see Brock being the next Brady. Like, I know it's early. I don't want to say it, but it very well. He has like this. It could be the next story. Like, it could be like Purdy might be the next, like, oh my God, this great quarterback, late round pick. Like, the story's lining up. 7th round pick, Mr. Irrelevant, the last pick in the draft. He's taking this team by storm. He's on a heater. He wins games. He does what he has to do to get this team over the top. If he wins a Super Bowl, bust out the 30 for 30. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. But so far, Brock, man, he's had a magical ride. And I think that magic is just getting started. So, Blood Moon says, you need the offense respect because look at what's happening with the Jets and Zach Wilson. So this whole nation that anybody can play quarterback is bull. Yeah, absolutely. Look at that. That's a great point. Not everybody can play quarterback because if it was that easy, people wouldn't just draft quarterback every year. And if they failed on the quarterback, let's get the next guy. Look at the Cleveland Browns. You guys remember when before they got Deshaun Watson, who right now he's a shell of his former self, there was the jersey. There was like all the quarterbacks that they went through. Like, I remember the guy that wore the jersey, and he would change the title plate on the back of the jersey. Every year, it's like Tim Couch. Every single year, it was just like another name. It was like a long list, like 18, 19 quarterbacks. Quarterbacks are not easy to find. A couple years back, the draft at the 49ers, they traded up to get Trey Lance, the Zach Wilson draft. Zach Wilson, he's horrible. Justin Fields, he's horrible. Trey Lance, he didn't really pan out with the 49ers. Maybe he'll do something at Dallas, who knows? That draft class has been absolutely terrible. Trevor Lawrence isn't bad, but he hasn't just become like he's on the cusp of becoming elite. Like he's close. I think he can become really good, but I don't know. Trevor's still not like that elite talent. If you're a number one quarterback, you're like should be a top 3 quarterback, top 5 quarterback type vibe, right? Trevor Lawrence is still kind of figuring it out. Not bad. I mean, I'd like to have Trevor Lawrence on my team if we didn't have Brock. Like, good quarterback, good young quarterback, but he's just not like this elite quarterback yet. Is what I'm saying. Jason says, I need a 49ers player to date Selena Gomez or something. We don't need to have any of the celebrity drama. We don't need all the drama. I mean, shout out to anybody that's dating those celebrities. It's a dub for them. I love that for them. Like, I know who you're talking about, Travis Kelce. We got, honestly, though, the 49ers have the best tight end couple. Claire Kittle, George Kittle, that's a vibe. That's a hell of a couple. I don't think they need any drama from anybody else. I like the 49ers and the fact that they don't have any this extra drama because eventually that stuff leaks out and it becomes a distraction. Eventually that becomes a distraction. Look at the Kardashians in the NBA. Like that became a distraction to those respective players and their teams. I don't think the 49ers need any of that drama and the distraction. It's great for those players. Like, I love that for them. But the last time Niners had like beef with players and their girls, Alden Smith and Colin Kaepernick. They had beef for Nessa. Like, they both dated her. They were both like fighting each other, and then everything spiraled out of control. We don't need that. We don't need that. Christian has Olivia. Yeah, I mean, but she's like quiet. She doesn't get in the spotlight. She's awesome. She's awesome. She's not going there and making a spectacle. So Christian McCaffrey, he deserves to have a supermodel like Olivia. Like Christian McCaffrey's a supermodel himself. Like if he wasn't playing football, he could probably be a supermodel, himself. So that couple just makes sense to me. That's a good one, Blood Moon. Yeah. Yes, sir, Peter Parker. He says the only date we need is in February. Absolutely. That's it. That's the only date we need. Ted says we don't need another Reuben Foster moment. Oh man, can you remember that? That guy had all the talent in the world. I was such a big Reuben Foster fan. I love that guy. Steven says Patrick Mahomes, brother Jackson, and his wife are so annoying. Yeah, man, we don't need all that extra drama. Just stick with the kiddos. The kiddos are awesome. They're doing their thing. I think all the players and their wives that the Niners have are great. Brandon Ayuk and his wife, like she's always on TikTok. She's very supportive. Ark Armstead's wife is like a doctor. They're always posting stuff. Have a happy family. Niners have good families. We don't need any of that drama. But shout out to those. Hey, I think Travis Kelce's winning life. Good for him. We just don't need all that. Let's see. Anything else about this game? Again, we said the 49ers have to stop the rushing attack. They ran all over the Cowboys. They got to get pressure on Dobbs. We talked about that this week. Got to get him uncomfortable. He's been pretty solid, man. Dobbs has been, better than I could have ever imagined right now. I think he's been playing good football. Like Deebo Samuel said, if you look at the film, his team could be 3-0. It's like the 49ers a couple years back before they really took, and started getting wins. In 2017 season, they had a couple of games that were like very close that could have went either way. Like they had very close losses. You remember that? And then they got Jimmy and they went over the hump and they finally were able to win games because he gave them that little juice they needed. And that's what the Cardinals are at. They're kind of like at this point where it's a young team, new coach. They're all buying into it and they're scrappy. They're tough. They play close games. And if they can win those games, they'll be a successful winning team, just like the Vikings last year. They got into so many like 1-possession games, 1-point wins, 3-point wins, something like that, like very, very close games, and they won them. This year, they are not able to do that. They're undefeated. They're 0-3. But last year, the Vikings, they were like the cardiac team. They would get close to the end and they'd squeak out a win. Sometimes these teams, they get a little lucky and they squeak out wins. But, the Cardinals are a team that are very competitive. And again, we got to stop their rush attack. We got to get pressure on Dobbs and the 49ers. Of course, like we say every week, you have to win the turnover battle. And I think if the 49ers can continue to win the turnover battle and play mistake-free football, it's a dub, man. And the 49ers have been so good with eliminating mistakes. No interceptions, no fumbles yet. Let's cross our fingers. Let's hope that there's no turnovers because that ruins the game. But I think the 49ers right now are playing great football. I think they're going to end up with a victory 38-17, and that's the final prediction. Anthony, good question. He says, if Debo doesn't play, does that make Ronnie Bell wide receiver too, since Jennings is already doubtful? Absolutely, yeah. If Debo doesn't play, you're going to have Brandon Ayuk and Ronnie Bell. That's your top two receivers. Although they will call up some receivers tomorrow. Again, remember, tomorrow they can elevate some players. There's going to be some roster movements, as there always is. Chris Conley and Willie Snead. Look out for those two guys to be elevated to the roster from the practice squad. I don't know if they'll elevate both, but they might elevate one of them. So Willie Snead and Chris Conley should be elevated tomorrow from the practice squad. We'll keep an eye out. But I still think Ronnie Bell would, the rookie, might get a lot more targets, an uptick in production. But, Chris Conley and Willie Snead are guys that I feel like could contribute to this team. But I still think Ronnie Bell's stock is rising big time. So, yeah, everybody's saying Ray McLeod. I mean, he'll get some workload in there, but you got to remember, he's returning kicks and punts, and that just takes a lot of energy. So I don't expect Ray to have like a ton of targets, maybe a few more than normal, but I still don't think Ray's going to have like this huge game. Ronnie Bell, that's the guy to keep an eye on. Chris Conley, Willie Snead, those guys, look for them to get called up tomorrow. But it's a Brandon Ayuk masterclass in the making, ladies and gentlemen. That is the one. It's going to be a Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle going to pace this offense, and Christian McCaffrey, the reigning offensive player of the month. He's going to go wild, man. Christian McCaffrey's going to go crazy. Are you kidding me? Yeah, Showboat says Niners about to run the ball all day. I think the Niners are going to pound the rock with Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey going to run, maybe get some Mason or TDP in there. And then just when they think they're going to run again, boom, break their back with Brandon Ayuk. I just feel it. That's going to be the game plan. They're going to run down their throats and then get Brandon Ayuk involved towards the red zone. So, need to silence the Cardinals' disrespectful coach. Yeah, he used to be the Eagles' offensive coordinator. He had a lot of trash to talk about the 49ers last year. Remember, before the NFC Championship game, there was a video that's surfacing now, and he says, we're going to crush he said, we're going to effing crush those guys. We're going to effing crush them. And unfortunately, the injury, and they did beat the Niners, unfortunately, but he was so cocky. He was so arrogant. I hope the 49ers just rub the floor with this team, wipe the floor with this team, and dog walk them. Again, it's going to be a tough game early on. I think the Cardinals are going to play scrappy, but you cannot outlast the 49ers in 4 quarters. You just can't outlast the 49ers that long. They're a tough team, physical team. They're going to hit you in the mouth. 4 quarters against the 49ers, it's too hard to deal with them. So he said the same thing when he took over Arizona. Yeah, he remember the video during the offseason, the hype video where he was like, "We're gonna be the best team," and the team just looked at him like, "What the hell is this guy talking about?" Like the team just did not look thrilled at all, and he was trying to hype this team up, and they were like, "Dog, we're the Arizona Cardinals, we're screwed," and he was like, "We're gonna go out there and we're gonna kick teams' butts," and he's trying to hype them up, trying to rah, and they were like, "I don't know about this guy, what a weird guy," but Niners are coming for those birds, baby. Niners are coming for those birds. Again, my final prediction, 38-17. That's a big time score. I know it. 49ers are cooking. I can't wait. Sunday, you guys have a good rest of your night. I think that does it here. Let's see. Let's wrap it up. See if there's any more questions here. Peter Parker says, seems like the first half we take our team, field the other team out, make adjustments, and close the door in the second half. That's exactly how they're playing, Peter Parker. They're playing smart. It's a chess match. They're not overexerting themselves in the first half. They like to feel out a team, and then they just shut them down, man. That's how this team has been playing. And that's Steve Wilkes. Maybe that's his philosophy, but I really like what Steve Wilkes has brought to the table. He has really, really adjusted every time in that second half, every single week. And it's like a little close in the first half, and then second half, it's like the 49ers just shut the door, like you said, and they do not allow anybody to get through. And it's just like it's a tale of two halves, and it's been phenomenal to watch. So Peter Parker says the Cardinals are not getting 17. Hey, I'm being nice. They're coming off of a victory against Dallas. I'm going to be nice to them. They're going to get 7. I gave them 17. That's a lot for them. Again, I did say the 49ers offense has been clicking, getting 30, but their defense is only allowing 14 points. So 17 is not much more than their average, but you never know. And again, I'm being nice to the Cardinals this week. I know people will say, 38-17, that's not nice. For the Cardinals, that's nice. That's nice. Blood Moon says, I want them to smash them in the mouth in the first quarter and let the rock and roll on the down the hill after that. I mean, I hope we come out strong. It is a home game. I feel like the 49ers have the ability to just come out and gash them. But, again, Cardinals are tough. I think they're going to play with some heart early on, and they're a gritty team. It's a team that, again, if you really have watched them this year, they're a lot better than I ever thought they would be this year. I mean, I just thought they were going to lay down on games, and they have been fighting their butt off. But again, new coach sometimes will do that. You'll get the best out of players. People are going to buy in, and, they're going to play for this guy. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting, but I do think the 49ers will pull away in the second half with those adjustments. So anyways, you guys have a good rest of your night. Happy Friday. Hopefully you have a good weekend, and we will see you Sunday. Go Niners. Let's hope that we're back on Sunday night talking about a victory. And then Monday is going to be a victory Monday. Fourth victory day of the season. I hope to talk to you guys next time when the 49ers are 4-0. You guys have a good one. Love you. Bang, bang. Nana gang, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you do all that good stuff. Turn the bell notification on so you know when I'm going live, because last time on my old channel, apparently nobody knew when I was going live. So make sure you hit that like button, hit the bell, the notification button, so you know when your boy's going live. I love you. Have a good night.